In this presentation, we explore various beliefs about research and evaluation. Through this presentation, we hope that you will clarify the historical underpinnings of various approaches to research. We hope also that you will reflect on and situate your own philosophy of research and evaluation in the broader context. Mertens proposes an 8-step process for research and evaluation. The first and perhaps most important step is knowing yourself and situating your work in that worldview. It is easy to gloss over this step or even forget it. However, to do so is at your peril as a researcher or evaluator because this omission leaves you open to many blind spots. One way of addressing this step is to work in collaboration with others whose worldviews may or may not align with yours. By hearing each other's views, you become more aware of your own. The next step in the research and evaluation process is to sense a problem. In this course, we will ask you to consider a particular problem of practice that you are most interested in investigating. The reason this is important to consider early in the course is so that you have the opportunity to consider a special problem of practice before beginning your search of the literature. If you do not have a particular problem of practice about which you would like to learn more at the beginning of the research and evaluation process, it will be more difficult to focus your search, and a less focused search will result in a less than engaging experience. With a problem of practice in mind, you will have enough preparation to begin your search and review of the literature. Through your reading and observation, you will inevitably gain clear definition of your problem of practice, how large it is, how well researched it is, the kinds of research designs employed, and the kinds of research questions that others have asked about your topic of interest. Armed with all of this information, you may also find yourself reframing your problem of interest. You may find your initial idea too broad and may opt to redefine it more narrowly. You may also find a particular research approach that you haven't considered before and may want to incorporate that into your own research. Which leads us to the fourth step. Identify the design, quantitative, qualitative, or mixed. It used to be that researchers favored a quantitative approach over a qualitative one, or vice versa. But more often these days, researchers and evaluators are embracing the multi-methodological approaches that show greater promise of teasing out information that no single approach would be able to accomplish on its own. You may feel overwhelmed at this point by the array of research and evaluation methods. Don't worry. That's why there are textbooks on this topic. It is important to know about the spectrum of research designs, from the most controlled experimental designs to the most open qualitative types, for much of the same reason as it is important to know yourself in relationship to others. Without a knowledge of the breadth of research approaches, you risk conducting research and reaching naive conclusions that do not acknowledge the possibility of alternative explanations for the problem of interest that you are investigating. The next phases of research and evaluation process are to identify and select sources of data, identify and select data collection methods and instruments, analyze, report, and use the data, and through this analysis identify future direction for research and practice. While it is important to be aware of and familiar with these phases, they will not be covered in this course. The organization of this course will echo this process. During the first part of the course, you will be asked to focus your thinking around a particular problem of practice in your area of education. Additionally, you'll be asked to develop a purpose statement that will allow you to focus your efforts in terms of searching the literature and developing your literature review. Next, you will conduct as thorough a search as you can on this topic and draw from as many research approaches as possible. As you are reading the articles you find, you will be asked to complete a journal article form for each one that will allow you to summarize the article information and the major points, such as the type of research study, what data were collected, what kind of intervention was used, results, outcomes, and make comments and critiques for your own benefit. Now let's go to the next topic, research paradigms. Mertens categorizes research methods into 4 paradigms: postpositivism, constructivism, transformative, and pragmatic. This topology can assist in locating ourselves and our worldviews in the broader research context. The roots of postpositivism are in the rationalistic, empirical philosophy that originated with Aristotle, Francis Bacon, John Locke, Auguste Comte, and Immanuel Kant. The underlying assumption of positivism is that the social world can be studied in the same way as the natural world, value-free. The scientific method allows the experimentation and measurement of what can be observed with the goal of describing constant relationships between variables. Scientific knowledge is objective, and only scientific knowledge is valid, certain, and accurate. Post-positivists extend from positivism through a suggestion that researchers modify their claims to understanding truth based on probability rather than certainty. The types of research methods typically associated with this post-positive perspective are listed on this slide. The constructivist paradigm grew out of the philosophy of Edmund Husserl and others' study of interpretive understanding known as hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is the study of interpretive understanding of meaning. The basic assumptions of the constructivist paradigm are that knowledge is socially constructed by people active in the research process, and that researchers should attempt to understand the complex world of lived experience from the point of view of those who live it. Research is a byproduct of the values of researchers and cannot be independent of them. A number of examples of research approaches consistent with the constructivist paradigm are listed on this slide. The constructivist paradigm, however, could only go so far. To some, the constructivist and transformative approaches appear synonymous, but they differ in some important respects. Number one, the transformative approach places central importance on the lives and experiences of diverse groups that have traditionally been marginalized. For example, women, minorities, and persons with disabilities. Nevertheless, it does not limit study to these groups' experiences, but also allows for the examination of how oppression is structured and reproduced. Number two, it analyzes how and why inequities are reflected in unequal power relationships. Number three, it examines how results of social inquiry are related to political and social action. And number four, it uses transformative theory to develop program theory and research approaches. A program theory is a set of beliefs about the way a program works or why problems occur. Finally, in the pragmatic paradigm, we find the framework for mixed methods research. It can be divided into an early period from 1860 to 1930 and a later period from 1960 to the present. Early pragmatists included John Dewey, who rejected the scientific notion that social science inquiry was able to access the truth about the real world solely on the basis of a single scientific method. Neo-pragmatists included Richard Rorty and Cornel West, who emphasized the importance of common sense and practical thinking. In pragmatists' view, lines of action are methods of research that are viewed to be the most appropriate for studying a particular phenomenon. In this slide is a summary of the basic beliefs associated with each paradigm according to four categories of beliefs. Number one, what is the nature of ethics? What is right? Number two, what is the nature of reality? What constitutes reality? Number three, what is the nature of knowledge and the relationship between the knower and the would-be known? And number four, how can the knower go about obtaining the desired knowledge and understandings? Although there is an overlap between research and evaluation, the two differ in some important respects. For one, in evaluation, politics and science are intertwined. Evaluations are conducted on the merit and worth of programs in the public domain. Evaluation also comes with its own particular set of jargon and is a dynamic field with new developments occurring in response to challenges and political factors. Nonetheless, different evaluation models fit into different paradigms, just as different research approaches fit into different paradigms, as you can see on this slide. A quick online search of the terms listed on this slide will provide you with resources about these evaluation models. Mertens also outlines these in Chapter 2, pages 47 to 87. This concludes the presentation. You may wish to review and revisit these slides during the course of your work this week.